Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. Huge night last night in Hollywood for a number of African Americans, but one person who has been smiling for the last 24 hours, Spike Lee. He won his first Oscar in his 30-year career for writing the screenplay of Black Klansman. Of course, he also was nominated for Best Picture, and of course, it was only fitting that his fellow Morehouse graduate brother, Samuel Jackson, would be the one to read that Spike Lee, winner of his first Oscar.
And the Oscar goes to...
Oh, the house! Charlie Wachtell, David Rabinowitz, and Kevin Wilmot, and Spike Lee!
This is the first Oscar nomination for Charlie Wachtell, David Rabinowitz, and Kevin Wilmot. It's the first win and fifth nomination for Spike Lee.
All right. Rob. All right. I want to thank Tanya Jackson Satchel. The word today is irony. The date, the 24th, the month, February, which also happens to be the shortest month of the year, which also happens to be Black History Month. The year 2019, the year 1619. History, her story. 1619, 2019, 400 years. 400 years, our ancestors were stolen from Mother Africa and brought to Jamestown, Virginia, enslaved. Our ancestors worked from the land from Kansas City in the morning to Kansas City at night. My grandmother, Zimmy Sheldon Retha, who lived to be 100 years young, who was a Spelman College graduate, even though her mother was a slave. My grandma, who saved 50 years of Social Security checks to put her first grandchild, she called me Spiky Poo. She put me through Morehouse College and NYU grad film. NYU. Before the world tonight, I give praise to our ancestors who helped build this country and what is today, along with the genocide of its native people. We all connect with our ancestors. We will have love, wisdom, regaining. We will gain our humanity. It will be a powerful moment. The 2020 presidential election is around the corner. Let's all mobilize. Let's all be on the right side of history. Make the moral choice between love versus hate. Let's do the right thing. You know I had to get that in there.
All right, folks. Also, it was a big night for other African Americans. Regina King won Best Supporting Actress for her role in If Beale Street Could Talk, based on James Baldwin's 1974 novel. Mahershala Ali won for Best Supporting Actor in The Green Book. He played pianist Don Shirley. This is, of course, second time in 3 years Ali has won. He won 2 years ago for Moonlight, joining Denzel Washington as the only African Americans to win 2 Oscars. Also, of course, again, Spike Lee won for Best Adapted Screenplay. And then, of course, we, had another big win, and that is 2 black women created history. When it came to Black Panther, here is the first winner.
And the Oscar goes to Hannah Beachler, production design, Jay Hart, set decoration. For Black Panther.
This is the first Oscar nomination for Hannah Beachler. She is the first African American to be nominated in this category.
I stand here stronger than I was yesterday. I stand here with agency and self-worth because of Ryan Coogler, who not only made me a better designer, a better storyteller, a better person. I stand here because of this man who offered me a different perspective of life, who offered me a safe space, who's patient and gave me air, humanity, and brotherhood. Thank you, Ryan. I love you. I'm stronger today because of this wonderful cast who every day stepped into this world and breathed life into it. Because of Ruth Carter and Rachel Morrison and everything they did behind the camera with me. I'm stronger because of my family who supported me through the roughest of times. I give the strength to all of those who come next to keep going, to never give up. And when you think it's impossible, just remember to say this piece of advice I got from a very wise woman. I did my best, and my best is good enough. Thank you.
Also, more black magic. Peter Ramsay won, of course, for Best Animated Feature, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And, of course, also someone who has come from the Spike Lee film school, Ruth Carter. Of course, she won for Best Costume Design for Black Panther. All right, folks, let's talk about this with our panel. Michael Brown, former vice chair, DNC Finance Committee. Eugene Craig, CEO, Eugene Craig Organization. John Murray, pop culture expert and commentator. First, I want to start with Ruth Carter there. Out of all the folks last night, I mean, first of all, the war was early, but I think she got clearly the loudest reaction. Clearly, that audience has been wanting her to win an Oscar for a very long time, John.
It was a special moment, and I saw her when she was on your show a few weeks ago, talking about the Academy Awards and everything. And so when somebody's put in that amount of time, you're rooting for them. You want them to win, and that was her third nomination. She finally took home the trophy. But I talked to some people who were actually at the show last night, and they said the ovation for Spike Lee was just as loud.
Right.
They said people were rooting for him. You know, Spike has, had a love-hate relationship with Hollywood. They've loved him, they've hated him, but they were loving on him, and they loved on him real good.
And he loved and hated them as well.
He became the official mascot of the show. Every time somebody said something from the stage, they were cutting to him. I mean, there wasn't a host last night, but his presence was the continuity the show needed.
Eugene, I'm sure you wanted some of those Spike Lee kicks because those were so. Spike went on Instagram, and apparently those were special shoes that Michael Jordan had commissioned for Spike Lee to wear at the Oscars.
He should have dropped. He should go ahead and drop them bad boys.
No. Limited edition.
He should go ahead and drop them. I'm pretty sure they'll sell out like all the other Jordans.
One of the few things Michael Jordan has ever done for a black person.
Don't want my words, Mike. but on the topic of Ruth, there are very few things that bring out a story like costume design and like and set design, and the work and time that she's put into so many stories and helping bring them to life. I mean, you don't get the quality of a motion picture of Black Panther without the costume design that she provided.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, again, when you looked at, throughout the night, whether it was black presenters, whether it was black folks winning, again, I think between R. Kelly and Jussie Smollett, the Oscars somehow, shockingly, 4 years after Oscars So White, saved Black History Month. That was a continuing theme I saw on social media last night.
But it also shows what you do when you make a conscious effort to make sure you have diversity, both presenters, award winners, advertisers, and everyone forgets.
And opening up the Academy to a much more diverse voting public.
No question. And keep in mind the gentleman that won for, I forget the gentleman from Egypt. I mean, remember Egypt?
Yeah.
Egypt is in Africa.
And for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes, exactly. And so it was an impressive night. Really
and, John, look, 5th time in 6 years, a Mexican has won Best Director.
Yeah, and it was so funny watching his speech when he said, I love international films. I used to watch Jaws. And he started talking about all the American films that he watched as American director. Listen, it was a great show. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed the show without the host. I didn't think I would. I'm very pro-host in most award shows, but I enjoy the Oscars without a host. I would like to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson get one time to do it. I think he'd be really great. But they could stick to this no-host formula.
Well, first of all, I thought it moved faster. Yeah. And of course, Kevin Hart was supposed to be the host of the show, yet when folks pulled up previous tweets of his being led to him, them asking him to apologize or drop out, and he chose to say, fine, I'm not going to host it. But I do believe, again, how they utilize the various folks presenting, opening it up with, of course, Maya Rudolph, Tina Fey, and who I'm missing, what's her name? Amy Poehler.
Yes.
I mean, look, they've hosted shows before, absolutely hilarious. But again, I think what you also saw last night, you saw this genuine love for Black Panther. You saw it, obviously, for Spike as well. Let's get to the drama, though, because it ended with Green Book winning Best Picture. Folks were livid, absolutely livid. It's amazing how many people, John, have a love-hate relationship with this movie. Here you have a movie that's supposed to be about Don Shirley. It's amazing classical pianist, but it was written through the prism, through the eyes of the white driver. His son was, of course, one of the writers. And Spike was hot. He was upset.
Saying that like that's a revelation.
But he was really hot.
Mad.
He said, of course, afterwards, he said, damn, I keep losing to movies. People are driving. And so talk about, first of all, your thoughts about the movie itself. Do you think the criticism is earned?
Well, full disclosure, this is the first year that I'd only seen one of the Academy-nominated films. Life is just busy. I had no time to watch movies. But I've read a lot of the stories about Green Book. I understand both sides of the spectrum. But here's the thing. Best Picture always causes problems. I mean, from the year that they thought it was the one film and ended up being Moonlight, you never can tell what movie is going to win Best Film. Sometimes it's these little-known international films. So the fact that Best Picture caused chaos at the Academy Awards, I mean, is water still wet?
Eugene and Michael, here's why I understand that. Because I remember when we had Washington Watch, and we were doing that, and there was a movie that Brian White was involved in. And it was this amazing script about all these hijinks in a hospital. And all of the studios wanted the movie. Yeah. They all wanted the movie. Until they found out that the actual doctors in real life were all black. And they all said, no, thank you. Then you had George Lucas. George Lucas told the story when he went to the studios with Red Tails. And the studios literally said, where are the white heroes? He said, the heroes are the black soldiers. And they said, well, all the white people in the movie, they're evil. He said, because they were. He said it was Jim Crow. And they literally all passed. And so Hollywood has this thing where they want white heroes, where when you tell these stories, Legend of Bagger Vance, Glory, Biko, you can go down the line where you have these movies where it's like, hey, you need to have a white guy or a white woman who's the hero in this movie. And that really was how people felt about Green Book, that even Ali, he wins for Best Supporting. But it's like, wait a minute, I thought he's supposed to be the main guy, but the driver was the main guy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this. The Academy is still 90%, voting.
Well, it's 61% right now white. Yeah. They changed it, but still overwhelmingly male, overwhelmingly old, and still majority white.
And the demographics are changing because one of the new standards is if you haven't been in a movie in the last 10 years or something like that, then your membership gradually ends and they keep adding more.
Hello. Yeah. You shouldn't be a voting member just because you ain't been in the movie in 40 years.
If you're 99 years old and you can't even press play on the thing to watch your screeners when you
probably shouldn't be voting.
You shouldn't be voting. Yeah.
But the thing is this still with it being 60% white and still overwhelming male, you vote for what you identify with. I mean that's basic knowledge, basic political knowledge, and these award shows, the Oscars, the Grammys, the Golden Globes, they are huge insider game political spectrums. That's what they are. I mean, Netflix doesn't spend $25 million to try to get to push their film for awards. If it's not an insider political spectrum game. So it's not necessarily shocking that Green Book comes out over Black Klansman and Black Panther. I think there's also an argument to be made that with two high-profile black films that they chopped up the vote similarly what just happened at the Grammys a couple weeks ago for Black Album.
But here's a piece, Michael. We do have to deal with this reality that when you talk about Hollywood, this whole idea of white redemption, of course, Spike still is livid that Do the Right Thing was not nominated for Best Picture. Driving Miss Daisy wins. When you think about when Crash won, people were very upset with that as well. And so Hollywood has this history of the white hero, the white savior when it involves African Americans. And so, and then of course in the year Malcolm X was not nominated for Best Picture. not nominated for Best Director. And then, of course, Denzel loses to Al Pacino for Scent of a Woman, which really was a Lifetime Achievement Award for Al Pacino. And so you do see African Americans who are saying, hey, we want to see authentic black stories told from our perspective also be acknowledged.
Well, I guess when you mentioned Denzel, I guess arguably Denzel should have 4.
Hell, Sam Jackson should have at least 3.
Absolutely. And nothing against Mr. Shirley and clearly his accomplishments, but we've kind of seen that story before. Yeah. We've never seen anything like Black Panther before. And really, if they really want to turn the corner, which they clear to be trying to do, both with presenters and awardees, is to say, why not a black superhero be in Best Picture?
Well,
that would have been.
But just to that point, though, typically big budget Marvel films don't
never get nominated.
So we can't deny the progress that was made last night.
No, absolutely.
The Academy Awards look like the NAACP Image Awards. Between the presenters and the winners.
True. Very true.
It looked good.
You didn't joke about it saving Black History Month for a reason. So Wakanda forever to the Academy. And I'm excited to see if they continue to make progress in the years to come.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just 1 month. All right, folks, calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders, enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. Now, the winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement the proposal. The deadline to apply is March 31st, 2019. Be sure to go to FGB.life for more information and to apply. And remember, Ford goes further in our community. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.